Hello and welcome to Gorilla and the Geek, the podcast for sweaty nerds by sweaty nerds. My name is Kyle from Geeks Weekly, and I'm joined as always by my good pal John the Ginger Gorilla. John, how you doing on this fantastic Sunday? Happy Father's Day.
Happy
Also, well, I mean John's
Father's
not a dad, just
Day.
saying that for any
Yeah.
dads out there. Also, the first non reality review episode in a long time. How you doing, John?
Very a very long time. It feels almost I don't know, not weird, but like feels strange. I was like a
Feel a
little
little bit.
nervous. I was a little nervous coming into this, even though it's just legit a conversation with my best bud. Um but it was just weird not like having a note like up about like seasons. I mean, we did 6 weeks of Jersey Shore. We did two 2 weeks of before that, and that was like two broken up weeks of The Circle
Oh
um
yeah,
and Love at First Sight. Love is Blind. Love is
I
Blind.
was blind.
Love is Blind. And it's been what a hell of a road. It's been a lot of fun talking about that stuff, but we a lot of stuff has happened. A lot of stuff has happened since we've been sweaty with video games and entertainment and all that stuff. A lot of stuff has happened. A lot of stuff we are not going to talk about on this podcast has also happened,
Yeah.
but we got a lot going on. And with that said, Kyle, let's hop right into your stuff.
Yes. So there's a whole lot of stuff has happened in the movie world. I was debating what to bring into the podcast this week with it. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with the movie space, you understand that movies haven't been coming out for a while now. There's been drops of like direct VOD stuff, like the King of Staten Island, stuff like that. But other than that, and like Netflix releases, movie theaters have kind of ceased to exist, and there's been a lot of financial implications with that. And we know that movie theaters are coming back supposedly in mid-July, but that's not necessarily something I found like an interesting topic to discuss for our first time back, John. So what I wanted to talk about was something I heard on the John Campea podcast this past week. And that is that Jamie Foxx said in an interview that they are now going forward with the biopic for Mike Tyson starring Jamie Foxx, which is actually something that's been in the works for years now. But that doesn't mean that the movie's been greenlit. Now, John Campea made a really good point. He said that there's a lot of reasons that that could be the case, and one of them could be all the controversies that happened with Mike Tyson throughout his life, including some legal issues for like sexual misconduct and stuff like that. Now, the big question is how much of that stuff do you put into a movie like this, and how much do you leave out? Who knows how much Mike Tyson is allowing to be told? So my first question to you, John, is in a biopic, do you feel as though it is necessary to tell the darker stories within someone's lifespan if you're discussing it in a film?
No. The reason I say no is it's a biopic. It's a movie about this person and it's about their life and their story, but it's not a documentary, I would say, where I mean, even documentaries you could smudge it, but I feel like documentaries, especially when you really think about documentaries, maybe not so much documentaries now, because I heard that Epstein documentary is very one-sided.
Mm.
Um, but documentaries back in the day, I felt like you watched them and you're like, oh, this is the truth. Everything here is what happened, good or bad. This is what happened. Now, maybe I was just a naive kid when I watched documentaries back in the day. But I think the biopic, it's really the story that wants to be told, right? We that Elton John biopic was a biopic, right? But it obviously wasn't the story to a T, right? I think they left out a bunch of things there. Um, so I think it just needs to be entertaining. If they choose to put in that raw, real mistakes, right? Then cool. If not, cool. I mean, like, think about the Freddie Mercury Queen biopic. They didn't put everything that was problem there. They put some of it, but I don't think they really highlighted his drug use on there to the point that may have been. Um, and I don't think it was necessarily needed. And same with this Mike Tyson. Do I hope there's some stuff, right? Maybe his childhood growing up, you get like an emphasis of how his trainer was really like molded him into this machine. Um, so then he didn't have an idea of self besides being a boxer in the ring and machine and kill and kill and kill. Um, so I hope you get that type of stuff because that is still raw, real, and kind of tough, but it's not some of the other things that went on in his life. Um, which I don't necessarily, I don't know. I don't think it needs it. What do you think?
I've been actually, the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I've been struggling with whether or not I think it needs to be in anything. Because to say that something needs to be there, it's putting a rule on storytelling. And I don't like that. I don't want to put any type of restrictions or necessities in on a director or a writing staff. I kind of want them to tell the story that they want to tell. Now, if you want to tell me the story of Mike Tyson's life from early childhood to the him hitting like the prime of his career, I'm fine with that. Now, if you are telling his story, I think this is where I've landed on it. If you're telling his story and you're getting to the point where the bad stuff started to happen, I think to not address that type of stuff, that becomes an issue for me because it's kind of like, well, you're in this time period, you're kind of touching on some of the bad things, but you're ignoring this massive one. That is a little bit of an issue for me personally. I feel like if you're someone who knows the story, it's gonna bother you because you're gonna be like, wait, this thing happened and you're not addressing it. John Campea said that's why he doesn't believe we're ever gonna get a Michael Jackson biopic because at a certain point, no matter where you are in Michael Jackson's story, unfortunately, from childhood to adulthood, there's a lot of bad stuff that happened. So, do you show that or do you not? And no matter what, you're going to get some people angry. Either people who want to see that stuff or don't want to see that stuff are going to be pissed off. So I think it's kind of a lose-lose situation in creating these types of stories, and I don't really envy anyone behind the scenes who has to tell these stories. And I think that might actually be why it's taking so long to even get the ball rolling on this film. I mean, Jamie Foxx is what in his like 40s now?
Yeah.
How long can you play a prime Mike Tyson when you're approaching like age 50? You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of funny that you say something about that. I was just looking. I mean, you could see it on camera. I was looking at my phone just now a lot. I was trying to find a picture that I think Joe Rogan put on Instagram or retweeted or something, and I cannot find it for the life of me. Maybe it was taken down, and it's of Jamie Foxx, kind of shadowed out, so you can't really see his face. I'm not bent over, sitting on a bench with like looking like he was just lifting, and just swole as all hell. And next to it is a picture of prime Mike Tyson looking swole as hell, and Jamie Foxx looking big, dude. And it was basically like Joe saying like, I can't wait for this, like this is gonna be the perfect person to play him, blah blah blah, which I think is true. I think
I think so too.
Jamie Foxx he's a renaissance man.
Have you ever
In
heard
like
his impression
every
of Mike?
sense. Yeah, dude, he's
Incredible.
just, I mean, he's amazing. But besides that, I just like I think he could act as a prime Mike Tyson. I get what you're saying about how long can he. But
Well,
if he's
I'm
that
saying
big
like
now, I think the ball's rolling more than we probably are led on to.
I hope so because I want to see the film. I've wanted to see it for
Because
years now.
unless this picture wasn't real, I don't know. But it was. He's looking beefy, a big beefy boy, um, which is cool. I like it's awesome, and it goes against what Robert Pattinson said. Screw you.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson. And so, with that being said, my second question, I know you're a huge UFC fan. I'm a pretty casual UFC fan myself, but I still really appreciate the sport. And I realized after listening to this news story, I don't think I've ever seen a biopic about an MMA fighter. Now, when I realized that, I thought, who would I want to see have their story told on the big screen? But then I realized, well, someone more knowledgeable would actually have maybe even a better opinion. I have my picks. I have two of them, but I want to hear yours first, John. Who in the MMA world would you like to see a biopic of?
Well, there's one obvious, like top tier answer, which I already think they're working on something. Conor McGregor.
I
I
think they're
I
working
heard
on it.
I heard grumblings a while ago that they already like maybe not that's gonna come out anytime soon, but they're like already getting pieces of the story that they might want to put out. Conor McGregor, obviously, I mean, it's a great story, biggest name in MMA probably ever, right? I think obviously then
Ever,
you
yeah.
just I'm gonna rattle off top 10, right?
Okay.
GSP, right? I would love a GSP. Um, although
When you're giving these, can you give us a brief reason as to why? Because there's
yes,
some people out there listening that
GSP,
might not know.
good point. GSP because he was a great, right? He was the GOAT. And arguably might be, right? He's the first person who took um went on to into MMA and was like athleticism and became like an athlete. Like looked at it from a professional athlete sense, brought in his horizons. He's French Canadian, so it's just like there's a little bit different culture, um, which is interesting. And his younger story is very interesting. The reason he got into mixed martial arts was because he was bullied growing up. So in order to defend himself, he learned mixed martial arts. Boom, greatest mixed martial artist ever. Comes back from adversity in his later years, wins the belt, retires on top, and then comes back again, wins the belt again, retires on top. It's just a great story, and like just the archetype of it is, I mean, amazing. Bullied at young, right? Training, becomes the greatest, gets defeated, beat up, and then he comes back, wins the belt. Amazing, right? I mean, you can't.
And
It's almost
what
like you can't write something like that because people would be like, "Nah, that's like too perfect."
and the really interesting portion of his story, I feel like he doesn't really enjoy fighting.
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
So having that be a character trait in a movie about a fighter
Mm-hmm.
is kind of wonderful. So
Yeah,
I would agree with you there for sure.
I
But
think
what about
I
who's next?
now this one might be a little like I don't want to give this person a highlight anymore, but John Jones, man.
Yeah,
Although it has to be another, arguably the GOAT, youngest UFC champion in history. Um, went on to be what could have been like by far undoubtedly the best UFC champion, and he just can't get out of his way. I mean, another biopic story where it's like you can't write this stuff without people being like, "Come on, like, what are you talking about?" But it's just one of those things that now that one I would say you have to put the ugly in it, right? Because it is this like you need that to tell the story, right? So that one I wouldn't like. You said you wouldn't want to tell people like what they have to do, but I don't think the story of John Jones is a story unless that stuff kind of happens
yeah,
necessarily. And then another one is a curveball who's one of my personal favorites, and his name is Uriah Faber. Now,
interesting.
a lot
Okay,
of you might be like, yeah, but why Uriah? So the reason I say Uriah Faber, never been a UFC champion, right? But he started fighting when there was no weight class for him. So he would be the small guy. Uriah Faber fought at 135 pounds, eventually moved up to 145, but that's very light, especially for MMA, right? Um, he used to just fight bigger guys, like take on fights back when there was no UFC really, especially for him, because the UFC 135-pound division is one of the newer divisions for the men, and it was never seen as really exciting. I loved Uriah Faber. He joins the WEC, becomes champion. He is one of the only people to beat Dominic Cruz back when Dominic Cruz was like the king of that division. And then comes into UFC and just has he's like a great, but not the like he can't reach the pinnacle. And I think it's a great story showing him in the underground. Like I've heard stories of him fighting like underground and like fighting someone who's like almost 100 pounds heavier than him, like and his family, him like selling tickets to just make money to the fight. Like I think that's a great, more underground MMA story, opposed to the other two who were like, oh, goats, blah blah blah. And then my last one, I mean, I could keep going for stories I'd love to see, but Khabib, and that one
interesting.
for how different the culture is. You know what? I gotta go for another one. Khabib is the same reason as I'd like to see. Oh my god, I lost his name. Oh crap. Oh, Yoel Romero. Both of them because they come from these Khabib from Russia, Dagestan, right? Communistic leadership, so different from the world that we live in, right? Yoel Romero came from Cuba, from the wrestling program in Cuba. And if you're listening to this, Google Yoel Romero, Yoel. It will probably come up after that space. Romero's easy to spell. I'm not spelling it out for you. Google him. This dude is 40 something years old, and he looks in better shape than probably anyone you'll ever see. It is, and he's clean. I'm doing air quotes because he's never tested hot, really. I don't, to my knowledge. But I mean, look at him. Can you be clean looking like that? Now, the reason his story and Khabib's story is because they come up in these wrestling programs in these countries that the wrestling programs are so fierce and it's a dog-eat-dog world, and they're the best at what they do in that sense. I mean, obviously Khabib, he's undefeated, and he runs through everyone and was built that way, like from birth. There's a video of him wrestling a bear. Now, obviously, it was probably a little bit of a trained bear, but he's wrestling a bear, right? As a child. It's like it's once again a story that I think would be so foreign to everyone, in the United States and Western culture, right? Because it's so different. I can't even picture going to Russia, no matter living in Russia, no matter growing up into Dagestan, which is kind of like I think was war torn for the longest time. And then just being a wrestler and then becoming the best wrestler, and now Putin like loves him. He's like the pride of Dagestan and the pride of Russia. He apparently is one of the most famous people over there, if not the famous person, because of how great he is. And yet, probably many people listening to this may not know his name. And that I think that makes for a very interesting story. And then Yoel Romero, more of the wrestling, the background of that wrestling. Almost, what was that movie that I slept through that you guys went to go see? Steve Carell. It was a wrestling movie.
Oh,
I'm still upset.
Foxcatcher.
Foxcatcher. Yeah, we went to go. All our friends had tickets. I bought a ticket and then I slept through it. I didn't even wake up in time. I ran down my stairs screaming. Was upset. Whatever. But it's almost like that where I think a lot of Yoel's movie would focus on him on upcoming in the wrestling, the Cuban wrestling program, because he's literally said, the better you wrestled in the program, the better things you got. And what he meant by that was you got more food, you got a better place to sleep. If you were top 1 or 2, you slept in a nice room, air conditioned, so on and so forth. You ate better food, higher quality, better tasting. And if you weren't that, you got treated like crap. And then it gave you that hunger and that drive and that fierce to go be that. And he says, and which I don't know if I believe him, he goes, go to Cuba, everybody looks like me. He's like, we're all like this. Which I just can't picture. I mean, I've never been to Cuba, but I've seen pictures of some people in Cuba, and I don't see everyone looking like Yoel Romero. But those are my top picks, which some were super deep cut, some obviously very mainstream, and Conor McGregor. Is there anyone that I didn't say that you? Oh, sorry. One more. Ronda Rousey.
That was gonna be my next pick.
Yeah. Just because of everything she did in her life. But yeah, sorry for stepping on your pick. You could go more into it.
That was one of my picks. So the Ronda Rousey story, I think, is one that deserves to be told because she really put women's fighting on the map. Mm-hmm. You don't. Do you even have a multiple tiered women's division if Ronda Rousey never came through the UFC?
Not who knows when it would have took, if ever there was a women's division, because before her, Dana White literally said on camera in multiple things, interviews, women will never fight in the UFC, and then she just showed, even though it didn't end well for her, during the time that she was dominant, she was a world beater. That people were talking about her beating up men. It's crazy what the idea people had of her.
Yeah. So for me, you have to start with her judo journey through the Olympics, through the previous MMA organization prior to the UFC rise, the downfall in the UFC, and the rise post fighting career in the WWE. I think that's how you end the film with maybe her her final match in the WWE at WrestleMania 35, which I was there live for. And I think that is a full, complete story that you can tell of
Dude,
her
and
career.
there's so much earlier on in her career between judo and her picking up MMA.
Yeah.
I mean, I read her book, um, back in the day when she was still in the UFC, and a great. Um, and there's like she battled with addiction at one point. She basically like lived almost on the street in between because she's like, when you're a judo Olympian, you don't make money. She's like, you don't get sponsor money. She's like, but my whole life was judo. Like, she was like, that's not a translatable skill. And she was lost and she didn't know where to go. And that whole story, like, that biopic would be truly, truly phenomenal. And the reason is because she was also a showwoman. So you could relay that into the film of her being like a showwoman in the UFC and then going to the W. I mean, that would be a great one. And I don't know how that even slipped my mind from the original question, but damn, like I like now I'm thinking about it. I think I'm more excited to see that one compared to a lot. Like I would like to see that and Connor like up there.
Yeah,
Um,
especially because of the two biggest stars in UFC history,
yeah,
objectively speaking. My other choice was the original UFC champion, Hoist Gracie. I think that
yeah,
you telling the story of the you don't have to tell the entire story of the Gracie family, but of the man who brought jujitsu to the forefront of mixed martial arts culture and the first ever winner of the original uh, Ultimate Fighting Championship tournament. That's what it was. It was a tournament back in the 90s, I believe. The first ever Ultimate Fighting Championship tournament, for those of you who don't know, I've watched the entire thing. My uncle has a DVD, and it's awesome. It's basically like if you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, it's basically the world's martial arts tournament, except without like ki blasts. It's no holds barred fighting. I think there's only two rules. It's no hitting in the groin and no eye poking. I think that's it. Everything else
yeah,
is
dude.
allowed.
There was like kicking to the face, like
There's
there was wild stuff.
no everyone's wearing whatever they want. Hoist Gracie's wearing a full gi. It's fascinating to watch. It's like a completely different thing. It's almost
Mhm.
like watching like Tekken, but in real life. It's awesome.
That's really
And
funny.
you see this little guy who I think he's shorter than I am. I think he's like 5'9".
Well, so one story, and you said that you don't have to really mention the Gracie family. I think they would need to be there somewhat because
No,
he
yeah,
was
I'm saying
chosen. You know,
I'm
out of
saying the
his,
story of the Gracies. I don't think
yep,
you need to tell the entirety.
I get that. Out of his brothers, right? He was chosen to be the one that goes, okay, I'm going to represent the family in this, and we're going to make this a thing because of his size. They wanted a smaller person to emphasize how jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, could become this huge thing because that's what started out the Brazilian jiu-jitsu trend and made it into a real like bona fide mixed martial art. Um, and his other brothers were bigger. So if they were bigger and then fighting bigger guys, it wouldn't have been as drastic of a like, oh my god, look at that guy. But him being the smaller guy, it made it more of a like a spectacle. So he wasn't. And now I might be stepping on like toes here or whatever in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't even the best out of his brothers. I'm pretty
I mean,
sure.
I can't.
I'm pretty sure Hoyler Gracie was considered like better, more athletic, like and whatnot. But if you need to fact check me, let me know in the comments. Go ahead, we should be at it. But yeah, dude, that would be a great story. Holy crap, I didn't even think of that, dude. There's so many good MMA biopics that could go, and like you know what I think needs to happen, especially with that. Um, I mean, and maybe right now's the time, but I don't even still don't see it happening. I mean, it needs to be more mainstream, man. I don't get it. You know, I don't know what's stopping it from becoming an NFL and an NBA, something like that. But I feel like it's still not there, even though it's on ESPN.
Well, I mean, I think two of the biggest reasons are the pay-per-view model, as well as the fact that the pay-per-view model in general does not allow for stars to be made outside of
Mm-hmm.
like the top 1% of fighters, like a Conor McGregor. I mean, if you ask a random person who John Jones is, they probably don't know, unless you're someone who's like at least pays attention kind of to the sport. But you ask a random person who Conor McGregor is, and they're like, oh, that loudmouth guy who fights and stuff, they'll know that. But outside of guys like that and Ronda Rousey, you really don't know who these people are. And I think the fact that they're not on free television like the NFL, the NBA, MLB is, and the fact that their pay-per-view model is really dumb. So there's so many walls
It's
up
holding back
that
casual fans.
exactly. You need casual fans for it to be mainstream.
And like yeah, and the thing is with especially with like fight nights, the fight nights aren't the most exciting people all the time,
Ooh.
right? Especially because they don't tell the story in the most exciting way for the fight nights. Like they do, they try to hype them up, but not like they do for the pay-per-view headliners. Like, I mean, one day that person might be a pay-per-view headliner, and then you get their full story. But back, like you just don't get it. Which I get, you build them up, whatnot, but I don't know. With that, do you think a season would help them at all? Like if they had
Like
a
a fight
MMA,
season?
yeah, like we're fighting from this time to this time. You get those couple months of break recovery if you need them, and then you go back.
I'm not entirely sure because you got to think about the 2 year span that Conor McGregor had
Yeah,
leading up
if
to
it
the Floyd fight.
wasn't, that's true. Like the ring rust and stuff.
I mean, he had the the two Nate fights and the fight against Eddie Alvarez in the same
Yeah,
year.
yeah, that's true.
So
That's a good point. You're right. You're right. I
that
think,
makes it a little difficult, but who
bro, like,
knows?
I'm, yeah, man, I would love to see it all on free TV. When
Yes,
originally when the ESPN deal was announced, that's what I thought we were getting. But yeah, that's right. And I think that would skyrocket everyone's popularity and make these biopics like through the roof. Like, I think it would really kill it.
I agree. And that's what I had for the week, John. What did you bring
Cool.
to the podcast this week?
Oh boy, Kyle, a lot has happened since the last time we've talked about video games. Warzone is like now #1 battle royale. Fortnite is Fortnite. Um The Last of Us 2 came out. People are loving it, people are hating it. It's very controversial due to the choices they made in the game. I can't say much more than that because of the spoilers. And that's that. But my main topic for this is kind of based off of a lot of things, right? And we may have talked about this a little bit in the past, but I need to rehash it because of where we're at now mentally, being huge Fortnite fans, being that we tried Warzone, and just being the fact that where we're at. I mean, so for the people who aren't as privy to all this, Fortnite has been falling, right? They last season, the season 2, chapter 2, season 2, they extended it. What was it? 4 times?
Three times, I think.
3 times to the end date, which would then start season 3, and that extension just made the season dry, a little stale, and it built up hype for season 3. Now season 3 is out, and it is unique. I feel like it's a good word to describe it because I don't even truly know how I feel. I first day I played it, loved it. Thought it like Fortnite's back. It's fun. It's different. What they did was they flooded the map, so it's very different. They added a bunch of different weapons, different features to the game. It made it feel fresh again. Second day I played it, and I played a lot of solo, and then I played duo and stuff, and I realized, whoa, they added skill-based matchmaking back, or it was here and I didn't realize. I don't know, but skill-based matchmaking or something's holding this back, and I'm going against these people who, for the most part, and I heard a lot of streamers talk about this. The game's fun, right? In a sense, you jump in, and all of a sudden, most of the lobby dies off within a couple minutes of the game, and then you're left with people who are sweats, tryhards, people who play the game nonstop, and you just get these people, and you get to the final circle, and if you are not one of the best people playing this game in the world, you don't really have that big of a chance of winning.
Nope.
And I said that, right? So first I heard streamers talk about it because I haven't played any solos yet, right? That was where I was at. Heard streamers talk about it, and I'm like, they're just whining again. Here we go again. These big streamers are whining. I mean, whatever, man. So then I go and play, right? First game, man. First solo game. Second place. Because I just, you slip up, you make a mistake, I miss some shots. This person played better than me. I realized due to what they were wearing, they were a OG of the game, right? So I'm like, no big deal, second place. And then things just escalate from there. Continue getting top fives, just getting absolutely destroyed once I get to those top five situations. And I'm like, oh my God, were they right? And then I vocalized that to Kyle. He's like, dude, that's wild. I know he believes me, but he hasn't felt it. So he doesn't have an emotional connection at that point.
Yes.
At that point, he didn't have an emotional connection. Then, was it yesterday or the day before that
I texted you?
Yeah.
It was yesterday.
It was yesterday. So yesterday, now Last of Us was out, and I'm like, thank you. Because right now, I just need I need a couple days of a mental break from Fortnite, maybe a week. Who knows? I don't even know how long this game's going to take me. But we'll get into that too. So I'm taking this mental break. Kyle is then forced to play a solo game. And Kyle, let's relay your experience.
All right, so real quick, I usually don't jump solos because I enjoy playing battle royales with my friends. However, I'm feeling pretty reinvigorated this season. I really love the battle pass. I love the fact that we're getting another superhero skin in the game, like a legit one. Those of you who know me from the Geeks Weekly channel know I'm a huge superhero guy. I think the new map changes are fun. I think the fact they brought back hunting rifles is awesome, and snipers are more prevalent in the game. Great stuff. And then the first day you got like 7 wins, and I got I think like 1 or 2. And the second day that we played, which was the day that you realized that stuff was going pretty bad, we had one dub where I played harder than I've ever played in my life, and it wasn't
Kyle,
fun.
just to let you know, the day before it was 8, right? So I go from the first day of the season out, 8 wins. Second day of the season, 1. And when did we get that one?
The last game of the night when we
last game of the night. Last game of the night because and thank you for talking me into playing more because I wouldn't have gotten that win.
Yeah, John was going to go to bed mad.
No one would have gotten that win necessarily,
yeah.
Because of how that game turned out. But, bro, keep going.
I've never played that hard in my life. It was not fun.
It was stressful.
We were boxing off. It was like a bunch of stuff that I just don't enjoy doing that in video games. I want to have fun. I want to just get into regular fights, whatever. And then the next day came, and I'm like, you know what? I'll jump on. I'll get a challenge done here and there, and maybe I'll jump a solo to see if I can get a solo win. Which every season I can get a couple. I jumped into this game, and I got 2 kills off the bat. Whatever. It's down to the final circle, and I'm not joking when I say this. Someone is fighting. I like roll up to the island. It's like a top 5 situation, and then everyone boxes off, and someone just like, you ever see someone get like assassinated in a movie when you're just kind of like, oh, that guy didn't really have a chance against this main hero. That was kind of sad. Yeah. I was that guy. It was awful. And like, I texted the group chat immediately going, the game is no longer fun solos. It's not doable. You can't do it. It's not an enjoyable experience anymore.
No, I mean, it's stressful. And so here's the thing, right? Going with that, this kind of leads into my topic. So let me just before that give a little breakdown of The Last of Us 2, right? The Last of Us 1 was this great story, great game. 2013-ish it came out. And it was great. They remastered it for the PS4 because it originally came out on the PS3. Got wonderful reviews. I think a lot of 10s. And you fall in love with these characters. This new one comes out, and they make choices in the game that is very polarizing to its audience.
Really?
And personally, I love it. As Kyle may know, as if some of you may know if you watch my stream, I haven't played any Fortnite. The last 2 days I played 7 hours, 8 hours each day on stream of this game, and legit the only reason I stopped was to edit that stream into videos for YouTube, which takes hours and hours on end. And I just like, I want to keep playing. Like tonight, I'm thinking of, can I fit some time in to play the game? I want to play. I'm 14 hours in. I think I'm only like halfway, which is exhausting to think about, but I'm just having so much fun on this game. I think they made a great decision. I understand how people could be maybe upset by some of the decisions they made, but I think they made a great decision. And it goes to me questioning how much do video game companies need to listen to their audience base, right? Now, the reason I say that is because I think it really depends on the game
Yeah.
and its audience, I guess. Now the reason I say that is because I don't think Naughty Dog should listen to their audience base when they made this Last of Us 2 decision. Maybe that's just me personally, but whatever. And I'm sorry I have to be vague about it, guys, because it's extreme spoilers, and I'm not
Oh,
doing
I think I know what it is.
it. Okay, but we don't
That's
need
kind of
to.
crazy. No, I'm not gonna
So
say it. It's just
yeah,
crazy how I figured it out.
okay. But with the Fortnite, and I was kind of with you. I was kind of teetering on the fence, and I don't know if my goal here now is this podcast. Best this is to convince Kyle that what I'm about to say needs to be true. Streamers have been saying what needs to happen to Fortnite to make the game fun again, right? And I've always thought, yeah, I think you should take into account somewhat of what they say. Now I'm starting to think, go with it. Go with it almost fully if
Wow.
you're Fortnite. And the reason I'm saying that is because I just decided they play the most. They know what works. They know what's fun. And now maybe you could say that because they're the best of the best, but overall, think about it. They know what's fun. They know what aspects to take out of a game, and it works. Warzone now is amongst even people who aren't the best at all games, just battle royale esque. It's one of the best games out there, right? Personally, I know Kyle doesn't like it. I have
I
fun with it.
I get it though. I
Yeah.
do understand it.
So with that, I think it's I understand, and they want a lot of the aspects to go to Fortnite, and I think it could help because at this point, I think they need to try. Because this season, from what I read, I don't see this season getting a lot of love. You didn't get any of the big streamers to come back over. In Tim, Dr. Lupo. I mean, they dabbled. Lupo played some today on his charity stream. Tim played a little bit, and then went back to Warzone. Ninja's playing a little, but going to Valorant. You still got Cypher PK, but Cypher PK even goes and plays Warzone every now and again. He still plays a lot of Fortnite. Don't get me wrong, but you're losing people, and what else do you have to lose if not these big streamers, right? I mean, you already lost the big streamers, and I'm saying you could try it. Try it out. What's the worst that happens? You go back? I don't think if you go back, then people are gonna be like, well, yeah, whatever. But I don't know. Certain things I just think need to be fixed, and I think they do need to listen to their streamer base and people's suggestions at this point because, I mean, I was looking forward to a lot. And I don't know if it's there. Now, given, have I really put the time into it? Not necessarily. It's been 2 days of playing this new season. Maybe playing it more. I'll change my mind again. You know I do that a lot in this podcast. I'm a very big flip-flopper. It really depends on my mood about that certain thing. So we will see. But I do think they should start listening to these people. What do you think?
So it's tough for me because I come from this. I'm a casual gamer, as people who listen to this podcast know. So, and I'm a hardcore film fan. So I come from a film fan background, and I am of the opinion that movie studios, for the most part, shouldn't really listen to fans. For the most part, I think that film fan culture is kind of toxic at times, especially when it comes to certain types of genre content. Like when it comes to Star Wars, I think that Star Wars fans ruin Star Wars movies. They're the worst fans in all of multimedia culture, in my opinion. You have comic book movies like Justice League being outright ruined because people complained about BVS being too dark, amongst a bunch of other things. And then that movie becomes too light because the studio's like, oh, uh, Batman has to make jokes now. Let's put it into the script because people were angry at people being broody. In my opinion, movie studios don't know how to go with some fan criticism. And I think I think in any industry you should listen to your paying customers However, to me, the movie industry hasn't shown a capability of doing that properly. Now, when it comes to the gaming industry, it's tough to say because I think that with gaming, especially with how video games have kind of evolved into this thing where you're constantly paying for stuff when it comes to battle passes, season passes, updates, yearly releases, stuff like that. You're a constantly paying customer, and especially with games like even 2K, which I'm pretty well versed in, where you kind of have to like pay to play, really. Stuff like that, I think maybe you should listen to your audience quite a bit because you lose your player base. What do you got? In regards to Fortnite, they have gone so far against the wave of their fans that I feel as though now you kind of I do agree with you in a sense that like you probably should just kind of take in as much information as possible from your fan base. However, I do think it's a double-edged sword. You have the opinions of these streamers like you're referring to who maybe kind of want to make this game a little bit more fun from a casual perspective. But how would the hardcore Fortnite players feel? The ones who do like to tunnel off, like you and I have seen, or even the ones who, like you and I, are not fans of skill based matchmaking. What about those people who are big into skill based matchmaking because they don't play the game enough to really get even okay at the game, and they're playing in these bot lobbies and they enjoy that when they play like once a week or whatever. So I think no matter what, you're never going to keep everybody happy within your fan community. But I think in Fortnite's case, they really should consider listening because ever since season X, it seems as though they don't really care about what their fans say.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I think about is for a lot of games, me growing up, there was always something called that people would throw out there as term, oh, we're pub stomping. And I was like, what does pub stomping mean? What it means is public stomping, right? But in the sense of gaming, what the hell does that mean? What that means is a lot of games have what they call pubs, the public matches, and
Oh
then
yes.
ranked,
Oh.
right? Ranked matches.
God.
And what pub stomping would be is someone going from ranked and just playing in public matches like it's a ranked match, like, and then just destroying or smashing everyone because they're that
So
much better,
corny.
right?
So corny.
Now, it was a thing to like maybe we'll do it a couple games, but if you're streaming and you're pub stomping, you're gonna get called out on it because it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's like playing with children, right? Almost because you're just that high level. Now,
Whack.
the reason that would work is there's two drastically different types of Fortnite, which a lot of people have been saying for a long time. One, they need to fix their ranked system, and they need to make it ranked and cater it towards ranked gameplay. Maybe don't have mythic weapons in it. Don't have the henchmen. Don't have these new whatever the Aquaman people are coming down. Don't have those types of things. Sharks. Make it more of a ranked gameplay. Now you could still change the map, make the water in it, just switch it up for them. Do those things, but maybe different loot pool. Have that. Have a good ranked system, right? And then have your pubs where you get these fun items, content creation type stuff. So people don't go in there and go, I'm going to take this serious. I need to get a dub. Where people like you and me will want to play and get wins, but you're going to have people trying to do content-esque things where maybe now they use that new grenade launcher that shoots as an impulse and they're trying to get 360 no scopes in the middle of a game, right? Things like that. Would it still be frustrating to get killed by people? Yes. But would it make the game more fun? Yes. And then in pubs, you could try out things, switch it up, maybe go back to the old style Fortnite where maybe we have weekly updates again. Now I'm given during that time there was a lot of coming out saying that their employees were overworked and not really compensated for it. So I get that they had to peel off from that, but I totally I think it could 100% save Fortnite if they look at it. Okay, we have two different types of games. Fortnite competition-esque, right? The ranked, that type of Fortnite, and then we have public Fortnite, right? Where then you have the fun things. They need to look at them almost as two different things. It has to be a thing. They look at Save the World and Fortnite Battle Royale as two different things. You need to add one more tier to that. So now you have Fortnite Battle Royale Fortnite Battle Royale competition, Fortnite Battle Royale ranked, right? Like create its own thing so it has its own community, and boom, there you go. And then with that, for the Fortnite tracker stats, maybe get rid of the public ones, right? And that's someone who will probably only play public saying that, and who looks at their stats. Maybe get rid of it. Now, will websites probably still pull information somehow and get it? Yeah, but maybe only make like the rank stats like, oh, like look at me, dude. So then kids are like, yeah, well, what are your rank stats at? What are mine? Like so on and so forth. There's something they're proud of. Because right now they're proud of their public stats, right? They don't go because the public stats and the competitive stats are the same stats on Fortnite Tracker, right? For the most part, you can isolate it off into competitive and see what those are, but the general ones are pooled together. So you need to make it its own thing. And I think that would 100% save Fortnite, because our biggest problem right now is the skill gap, right? I play a lot. I played a lot of Fortnite. More than I'd like to admit. And I'm still getting destroyed by these people.
Butt cheeks clapped.
Like, just absolutely, like, I've been playing a different game this whole time. Right? And with that said, I think that you need this drastic change in the game for them to save their game. And they need to do it quick, because if I keep having days like the other day where I'm just playing, I don't know how much fun I'll have. I'll have to come up. I said on my stream, maybe I'll just do open lobbies if no one else is on, because I can't play solos anymore. I can't.
Neither can I.
I don't even know if I could do duos, to be honest. I might have to do maybe if I have a duo, do a duo and then open fill or something, just so I get another, like, more people and we know we could fool around. But I need to learn to take this game less seriously in this moment, because you can't anymore, because you're getting clapped by these people who are just so different and so skilled that it's frustrating.
And by the way, I used to be, so I say I'm a casual gamer. When in 2018, when Fortnite was like at its peak, I was kind of like a hardcore Fortnite player, where I was like getting up. We were talking about this the other day. When Fortnite Season 4 premiered, I got up at like 6 a.m. before work and grinded as much of that as possible, because I was so excited to play. And I used to play solos all the time and like go for clip style kills and stuff. I would take the game really seriously, and it was so fun. But it's just lost that, and it's dropped me from someone who, like, if you told me back in 2018 Kyle was still an avid Pokemon player. But if you told a 2018 Kyle that he'd be more excited in the future for a new Pokemon DLC, not even a new game, a DLC to a pre-existing game, rather than a brand new season of Fortnite, he would have been shocked. And it's sad that we've come to that.
So going back to my original question of should they listen to their player base, I think I've decided on something with you alluding back to movies. The games that are more cinematic, like movies, Last of Us 2, I say no, right? Those single story player games, do not listen to your fans. You're the creative. You're the storyteller. This is your artwork, right?
Exactly.
Because that's the thing I'm really getting out of this Last of Us 2. These cutscenes, man, I teared up. I was on the verge of tears at certain parts. I'm laughing, I'm giggling at certain parts. There's been moments where I was just like, oh, like, just, it's like I'm watching a movie, right? And I can't really and it's hard to emphasize that to people who haven't played a game this, like, just breathtaking, and how good the story is, which eventually we'll get into the topic of them making this into a TV show, because they are The Last of Us. And I mean, I never been so excited for a TV show to come out eventually than now. And those games, don't talk about it. Don't take into consideration what anyone says. You do you. That's your art. Fortnite, things like that, I think you need to start doing it more, man. It has to be. It has to be. Because if not, you're going to lose the people that play your game. Your game will die. It happens. PUBG, I mean, it's still out there. They still have a dedicated group. But what everyone says is they didn't adapt. Because they were the first Battle Royale. They were big, right? They did not adapt. They did not change their game enough and listen to their player base to go on. right? Fortnite needs to listen, and I hope they do. You know what? I'm always gonna hold out hope on that game because it's my favorite game. I'm still gonna play it,
Same
obviously.
here.
I mean, I still have even when we were playing squads, we weren't necessarily winning, but I was still having fun. Like, it's still a fun game when you're playing with your friends because of the fact that you're playing with your friends.
Bingo.
But it used to be a fun game when I was playing by myself.
Yeah.
Or playing in a duo. Even playing in a duo right now, I don't know if we would have as much fun. Just because of the fact that now it's two of us, you can't really fool around as much.
Yeah.
As you can. Like, you have leeway to fool around in a squad game because you have three other people to pick you up. Where now, if it's a duo, you kind of have to take it serious in a sense because you're still with the duo. And I want to go back to the times where we could fool around and still be able to play. And hopefully we get that, man. Hopefully we can. I know I feel like we've talked about this so much. I feel like we're so Fortnite like centered on this podcast due to the fact that we play it a lot. But with any other games that you guys think of out there, if you're watching this and you're like, wow, that happened in Overwatch, that happened in League, that happened in something, let us know. See, make a connection between what this game did maybe to save their game to what this game's doing to save their game. Or what this game did wrong, right? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in a DM on Twitter, on Instagram. And speaking of which, I mean, I'm all done here with my topics.
Yeah. Let's tell the people where they can find us. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Buff Charmander. You can find me on YouTube and my podcast feed, Geeks Weekly. That's 2 words. Pumping out crazy content lately. Speaking of gaming, if you are a Pokemon fan, we at Geeks Weekly just did Pokemon Week, where it was 5 straight days of Pokemon-related content. If you could watch that, I'd really appreciate that. That was a grind to do, including one video in which I drew superheroes as their Pokemon counterparts, which was super fun to do. And yeah, so check out all my content. John, where can the people find you?
As always, mixer.com/Ginger Gorilla for your entertainment gaming needs. You get to hear Kyle a lot. You get to hear a lot of our other friends on there a lot. Come check that out. We have a lot of fun. We goose and gaffs. It's not just about the video game people. That's what I want a lot of people to like kind of get away from. I like to entertain. I know my friends do. That's what I want to do. So come check it out. With that, twitter.com, Ginger Gorilla. Instagram, Ginger Gorilla Gaming. Both those, follow them if you're interested in the stream, because then you get updates of when I'm live, things like that. And then my one I really want to focus on right now, Ginger Gorilla Gaming on YouTube. Maybe you're watching this podcast. Maybe you're listening to it. If you're listening to it, check out my YouTube. Drop a subscription, right? Because I just said The Last of Us game, best game I ever played. Maybe you don't want to play it. Maybe you don't have a PlayStation, right? It's only on PlayStation. I need people to check out this game. I need people to see this story. I need people to watch it. It's a dedication. It's a lot. Like Kyle said, he grinded his Pokemon videos out. I am grinding these videos out. Every 4 hours, a new part releases, which is like 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah. Every 4 hours, I'm releasing a new part until I'm done with this series. Now, I know there's other series out already. I know people got the games before me, and so they've released it all before. I'm putting so much passion and so much work into this game, guys. If you like anything I do, please check it out. It would mean the world to me. So Ginger Gorilla Gaming on YouTube. Check it out. And I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast this week. We're back to our regular stuff. Kyle, it felt good. It was fun. It felt good to get passionate and sweaty again. Both for entertainment and stuff.
We enjoyed all the reality review stuff we really enjoyed. But it is nice to just kind of get back into the wheelhouse of a general discussion-based format. That's really what I like to do here. So I do enough reviewing on my other channel as this, so it's fun to do this type of stuff.
It's a lot of fun to have a conversation and just pick each other's brains. But once again, as always, we are always open to hearing if you guys want us to talk about anything. So if when you're at this point, you obviously like listening to us. Let us know if you have anything you want us to talk about in any of those social medias we just told you. And as for that, peace out, everybody.